Achieving a high quality professional finish with silicone sealer is easier than you think if you know how. So today I'm going to show you the tools, the techniques and the tips so you can silicone like a pro rather than an amateur. Although I've been successfully using this shower for the last 6 years, last week it decided to start to leak and it's now stained the ceiling below. And it's because of the silicone sealant around the bottom of the shower has started to deteriorate. It's lost its flexibility and it's starting to crack. And in some areas there's not nearly as much silicone bead as I would like to see. However, this was done by the professionals, so there you go. So it's time to reseal the shower tray, which must be one of the most common DIY jobs around any home. And if you're going to do it, make sure you don't make a complete pig's ear of it, because we've all seen the photos before, haven't we, where people have just splashed silicone everywhere, used most of the tube when they shouldn't have done. It just makes it look like a 5-year-old has tried to tackle the job. But this one is my favourite, which just about sums it up. And you can tell in most of these photos that the silicone has been finished with the traditional wet finger technique, which you need to avoid. If you want a professional finish, that is not the way you're going to get it. There's only 2 times where you can actually use your finger when it comes to silicone and caulking. One is when you're applying paintable caulk or sealant to things like the gaps between your skirting and your wall, or inside corners just before you decorate. And the second one is when you're pushing sealant into a void, but it's not the finished surface. Like when I'm installing, say, a shower tray, I always put the tray in before the tiling and then make sure that I've got a gap of 2 or 3 millimeters between the shower tray and the tile, which I can then fill with silicone, forcing it in with my finger to make sure that the gap is full. But for any sealant on show, you need to get used to using tools like this that will give you a nice smooth professional finish. Right, let's get on and start sealing this. And like anyone that's going to be tackling a job like this, before you even think about putting any sealant in, the first thing I need to do is to get rid of the old. When I'm doing a job like this, I like to get out as much of the old sealant as possible. There's various tools on the market to help you do this, but I've never really tried them before, so I thought I'd get this plastic one to see how it goes, but I must say it didn't really perform very well. When sealant has been in place for some time, you really do need to cut it out with a sharp blade. However, you do need to be a little bit careful that you don't damage your shower tray here. My blade is always pointing into the corner, and if I do cut the shower tray, I always make sure that it's within a couple of millimeters of the wall, so the new sealant is going to cover it up. I've never been able to do a job like this without a Stanley knife and a scraper, and I've got a nice little tool here from Spear & Jackson, which is essentially a folding Stanley knife, but then when you press this button you can turn the knife around and use it as a scraper. It's similar to that one that does it automatically, but a lot less bulkier and a lot cheaper. I'll put a link to this in the description below. You'll notice using the scraper here that I've actually angled it so only one side is touching, and that's the side right adjacent to the tiles. That's about 95% of the sealant out, and that last little lingering bit I'm going to get rid of with a sealant remover. All you do with this is you spray it on, you leave it 10 minutes and then just rub it off. Unfortunately, sealant remover only really gets rid of small amounts of residual sealant. It's not as if you can just spray it on the whole sealant and it's all going to disappear, but it is handy just for a bit of a clean-up. And because I've sprayed it, I now really need to get it 100% dry before I put any new sealant into the area. This really needs to be as dry as possible. The drier you get it, the better that sealant is going to stick to everything. I've still got a little bit more to go, so while I continue borrowing my wife's hairdryer, go and see Stuart in the workshop, where he'll explain to you all kinds of things like silicone and caulking guns and tools and all that kind of stuff. These are the profiling tools I'm going to be using today, and you can choose from all different shape profiles, from rounded to bevels and all kinds of different shapes. I think I'm going to be going for the bevel type shape, which is probably the strongest and the one that sheds water the most. I'm going to start with a 10mm, and if I think that looks a bit too big, I'll just drop down to the 8 and take a little bit more material off. These are really cheap sort of tools. They're sort of slightly rubberized and I wouldn't pay a lot of money for them. In fact, these came in the same pack as my caulking gun, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, so quite cheap and cheerful. If you actually look, quite often you'll see that this isn't a 90 degrees. And the reason for that is that when you actually put it in place, it means that you can lean it over, and that means both sides touch the tray and the tile with a slight lean, which actually is a better way of pulling across the sealant. So that's why it's not exactly 90 degrees, it's actually designed that way. The skeleton gun I'm using today is what's called a non-drip gun. And what this does is that when you actually pull the trigger, as you release it, the plunger comes back a little bit, which means that the pressure isn't still on the tube, because if it is, and you use a really cheap gun, you would have seen this before. So this is designed for that not to happen. It's only a couple of pounds more than a really basic skeleton gun, so consider investing in one of these. In fact, I bought this from Amazon, and included in the pack for free were these profiling tools, which I thought was quite a good deal. I'll put all the links for these in the description below. So moving on to what type of silicone. Well, unlike a lot of people on YouTube, I'm not actually that fussed about the make and the type of silicone, other than you've got to get a good quality one. So rather than getting something cheap and cheerful like this, I would go for the best one you can find in your DIY shop. If you're going to be doing it around a bath or a shower, I would go for white rather than translucent. And I'll definitely pay a little bit more to get the anti-mold type. But to be honest with you, the success or failure of sealing around a bath or a shower is more to do with workmanship and preparation rather than what make of sealant you get. Just get the best one from the DIY shop nearest you. This is my little mock-up to show you what I'm going to be doing. This is my shower tray and this is my bottom tile. And when I constructed this, just like in real life, I prefer to put the shower tray in first and then tile around it. That means the water is coming out on top of the shower tray rather than to the side. It also means if you use a tanking method, you can actually lit that onto the shower tray, completely sealing it. And when I put this tile in, I made sure that I've got a 3mm gap all the way along there. So just like my real life bathroom upstairs, the first thing I need to do is fill that gap. So before I cut the nozzle or anything, I'm going to start filling that gap perpendicular to it all the way along. So I've got plenty of material in there to the point where all of these start matching up and sticking to each other. And this is where you're allowed to use your finger, because there you go, you just want to push it in there. If you've got any gaps left and you haven't put enough material in, ease a little bit more in where you've got a gap. So that's stage one done with the voids filled. And as long as I can add to that silicone in the next, let's say 10 or 15 minutes, it's all going to stick together really well and end up in one big homogeneous lump, which is exactly what we want. But we haven't got too much time to hang about. So stage two is cutting your nozzle to suit your profile. Now I'm going for this 10mm bevel profile. So all I'll do is offer it up to my nozzle, push it up and down until I see the two matching. And then I'm just going to cut a little bit smaller than that, because as you pull the tube and push the material out, it does expand a little bit. So I'll work out exactly where it is, go a few millimeters up, cut the nozzle at 45 degrees. A lot of this is practice, but if you follow these steps and cut the nozzle at 45 degrees and then manage to squeeze the sealant out of the tube at the correct rate while moving back at the right speed, you get something like this that looks pretty good already before it's even been tooled. So I run my sealant tool over it with a 10mm bevel corner doing the work, and on first impressions it looks a little bit big. So I then change to the 8mm bevel corner, run that over it and just take off some more material. And for a first pass it's not bad already. With the other corners of these tools you can also clean up grout lines and ends and bits and pieces like that. And this is what I mean about sealing the tiles. I've now got sealant all the way through to the back of the tile. So for any water to get behind that tile or the shower tray, I'm going to have to be really unlucky. Once you've got the majority of the sealant exactly where you want it with the tool, if you want a really professional smooth finish, then grab some water and some washing up liquid. And with a piece of plastic or wood, something that's smooth, dip it into the liquid and then just smooth the surface. And you'll find with a bit of time and effort that you can make your silicone really glossy and really smooth. So back upstairs in my bathroom, I make sure that everything is 100% dry before filling all the voids the best I can, which is going to give the sealant a really good key. I then change my nozzle and try to put my bead down in both directions as consistently as I can. And then just use a tool to get the bevel finish. And on each side, I only tool the sealant maybe 2 or 3 times. You really want to do it as little as possible because there is that threat that you over tool it and then you take out more and more sealant, which means you need to add some more and you end up just going around in circles. So that's gone in fairly regular and I've made it fairly smooth as well. All I need to do now is give it a bit of a clean up and then leave it probably 24 hours just to make sure it's fully cured. Really happy with that. Plenty of key in between the tiles there, so that's never going to come out, and actually it stuck really well, so really happy with that. A lot of this is to do with practice as well, but you've got to start somewhere. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.